open up against the Baltimore Ravens. They've kind of morphed and decided who they're going to be.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. And I will say that on the Washington side of things, we had an Antonio Gandy Golden sighting, although
AGG.
he got pounded on the sideline on an end around by Carl Joseph, former first rounder of the Raiders, showing up here in Cleveland in the back of that secondary. Also had a big interception of Dwayne Haskins, which kind of brings me to this question. Where are we at with Dwayne Haskins now 3 weeks in? He's had some really good throws, had some in this game. In fact, a laser to Dontrell Inman for, I believe, their first touchdown of the game, but also ends up with the 3 interceptions. On defense, really, really unfortunate to see Chase Young leave early in this game and not come back with the groin injury, although we're told that it's not expected to be a real serious groin injury, so maybe we get him back sooner than later. But for Washington, I still don't know what to make of Haskins in that offense. And Cleveland, though, clearly, as you mentioned, give it to the running backs and let them work.
Well, I'm going to do something that's rarely done in the media right now. I'm going to extend some grace, and I'm going to look at these 3 factors: young quarterback, no offseason, new coach. Just give him some grace. Lower your expectations of what you think you're going to get from Dwayne Haskins this year. It's just not set up for him to be successful at this point in time. They're not good up front. Still need more weapons on the outside, to go along with what they have there. So, I like Scary Terry, but they need to get somebody else to help McLaurin out there. So, Gandy Golden's not there yet. So, I don't. I'm not going to issue any verdicts here.
I'm not either.
Haskins this year.
Yeah, I'm not either. It's just that's what it felt like we're in that spot. Like we don't know, we don't know exactly what we have just yet. And you're right, it's probably unfair to truly evaluate here. Three games into a season that had no real offseason. So that's where we're at. I'll get us to where are we at here? I'm going to get us to one more takeaway. Number 8. Okay, that is patience paying off for Mike Vrabel and the Titans.
Snap, set. Kick. God! Holy Toledo. 55 yards for the lead. Wow!
So that quite the departure from Stephen Gostkowski's Tennessee Titans debut all the way back in week 1, where he missed 2 field goals, had another one blocked, missed an extra point as well. That was the type of performance in week 1 for a kicker that finds yourself on the Monday Transaction League email. Although in that case, it would have been Tuesday because they played on Monday night. Yet still, Mike Vrabel exercising a little patience with the former Patriot kicker, who I'm sure he knows quite well, right? And even in week 2, another missed extra point, but was much better still. Vrabel sticking with the veteran kicker. And on Sunday, Gostkowski, the absolute MVP for Tennessee, opened with 2 field goals, answered 2 Vikings touchdowns with another pair of field goals, one from 50+. Then in the final 6 minutes of the game, he goes another 2 field goals, both from over 50 yards, one from 54, and then the 55-yarder for the win for Tennessee. And you know what I loved about this afterwards, as I learned via Terry McCormick of Titans Insider? It was a sock. Took his sock off on his kicking foot, which, look, don't do it on a plane, but I guess if you got to take your sock off to put it through the uprights, do it, right? And all the things, a famous sock, the bloody sock from Kurt Schilling. I mean, now we've got no sock here from Stephen Gostkowski that leads the guy to 6 field goals, helps the Titans get to 3-0. Now, does Gostkowski last after that week 1 if Vrabel and if the Titans aren't familiar with his work and what he had done in New England? I don't know, but in this case, patience proves very valuable for a kicker and for Tennessee.
Well, I'll just add this on the kicker front. I think if you look at the teams that are indoors, right, and I see the Chargers are at SoFi Stadium, right, and so I've seen what Butker did last week, and I've seen through a couple games in there. It's a open air stadium, but with the canopy, right? So it's literally perfect kicking conditions. You have no fans in these stadiums. You're kicking indoors in Minnesota. It is the driving range for these guys. They're not even flirting with the uprights on these kicks that I've been watching when they're playing indoors. I mean, there's something to be said, and it's not just the noise, it's fans moving around, it's the energy and the pressure that's in the building. There's none. You can hear a pin drop in there. It's bizarre, but I think it is a reason why we see some of these big kicks from kickers. It is perfect kicking environment.
There it is.
All right, we'll keep it moving here. The game that I was at, the Chargers and the Carolina Panthers. The Chargers trying to come back in that ball game, came up a little bit short, but my takeaway was on the Carolina side of things, and that was a good day for a couple Carolina rookies.
Herbert on the back pedal, being pressured, throws underneath, and it's caught the hook and ladder, but it's dropped. The ball's loose at the 20. The Panthers fall on it, and Carolina is going to win this football game. The first win of the Matt Rule era.
Well, you heard it there. Very close to pulling off the hook and ladder there to win the game for the Chargers. But, Rhett, they didn't quite get it done. I will say with Justin Herbert, to get the ball inside your 1 yard line, under 2 minutes, no timeouts, and to get your team down there and have a shot to try and win the game was a good sign for the young quarterback and for the organization going forward. But I do want to stick to the other side with the Carolina Panthers here. Jeremy Chinn, their second-round pick, 12 tackles in this game, was all over the field. I saw it in the 2 previous games I watched. They play him everywhere. He can play high, he can come off the edge, he can cover in the slot, but his speed is real and it plays. And he's been outstanding for them thus far. I think some people took offense to it, but I think he's the best defensive player on their team already, his 3rd game in. And then Derek Brown up front, who hadn't done a whole lot in the first couple games, had 3 tackles for loss in this game, reset the line of scrimmage. You saw the power, able to push the pocket. Not a ton of pass rush ability at this point in time, still developing in that area, but his size and strength kind of reminded me of Sue, and Sue, those years where Sue was, 5, 6, 7 sack guy. I think that's what Derek Brown's going to get to. I don't think he's going to be a double-digit guy. I think he's going to be somebody that dominates against the run. He's going to get you a handful of sacks every year.
We also see Troy Pride's really been getting some run at corner for the Panthers as well. Saw him make a couple of plays there. And, we haven't seen a ton from Yetur Gross-Matt yet, but, maybe that's coming as well off the edge. I mean, look, they spent every pick they had on defense. So it's you're going to hit on a couple of these guys on the defensive side of the ball for the future. The question that I'll have to you on the Chargers is, and look, I know all the 4 turnovers aren't on the rookie quarterback, Justin Herbert. He did have the 1 interception and the fumble, as we talked about. But what does 2 300-yard passing performances from Herbert in 2 losses for the Chargers do for Anthony Lynn's decision when, if Tyrod Taylor is eventually back and healthy?
Well, it's going to be interesting because you have some of those boo-boos, right, which you would assume Tyrod wouldn't make those mistakes, but I can show you a list twice as long of the big-time plays that Herbert made on conversions. I think they were 12 of 15 or something like that on third downs in this game. It was ridiculous. He converted with his legs. He made some big-time stick throws. He made throws on the move. So there's a lot to build off of. The Chargers, though, just again, it's been their bugaboo for the last couple of years. It's just been turnovers. This is a team that hasn't scored more than 20 points in any of their 3 games this year, despite moving the ball up and down the field the last 2 weeks against the Chiefs and this week against the Carolina Panthers. They just haven't been able to maintain possession. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I know Anthony Lynn does not like turnovers, and Herbert had a couple in this game, but it's hard to ignore what he did to give this team a chance to win. He was not the problem. 5 drops when you broke down the tape in that game. So they've got some other issues to work on. What's the final takeaway here, Rhett?
I believe that is up to you, my friend.
Oh, that is me. Hey now. The Bears, they made a quarterback change, and Bucky phrased it this way.
Yes, he did.
Just in the nick of time.
Here's the snap. Good rush. They throw as he's hit into the end zone. Touchdown! Middle of the end zone. A beautiful throw ball to Anthony Miller, and the Bears have the lead.
So stop me if you've heard these 3 things before. Bears fans were not happy with Mitchell Trubisky and how he was playing in a ball game. Nick Foles comes off the bench to save the day. And the Falcons gave up a lead late in the 4th quarter. I feel like I've seen all 3 of these movies before, but yet that's where we found ourselves in this Bears-Falcons game. And going back and watching tape, the kind of the issue with Trubisky. First of all, did not play terrible in this game. Just missed a couple opportunities. Had a double post where he missed Anthony Miller, which would have been a touchdown. They had a double move with Tariq Cohen on the outside. He threw it out of bounds. It would have had a shot at a big play there. So missed a couple of those throws. Was a little bit late on a couple progressions. But he had other opportunities where guys weren't fighting for the football. Jimmy Graham on the interception allows a defender to cross his face. Allen Robinson wasn't really winning as much as he should have in some contested opportunities that he had. Then you get to Nick Foles. At the end of the game, he hits the game winner on the same double post. He hits Miller on the throw, so they get that done. Allen Robinson goes up, high points the ball, then breaks 2 tackles, something that he wasn't doing for Trubisky. So the whole thing just kind of worked better for Nick Foles in this game, and I don't think it was necessarily the worst game I've ever seen Trubisky play. They just couldn't get it going, and I think the fact when he missed Miller on that deep shot, you try and scheme that up. You work all week, you get that play in, you get the look you want.
Yeah, you got to hit it.
Miss it. I think that was kind of the final straw there.
Right. So we got a treat, right? I mean, we got playoff Nick Foles in week 3 of the 2020 regular season. Like, that's big time. I mean, he throws 3 touchdowns in a quarter and a half of play for the Bears. I mean, that reminded me of Super Bowl run Nick Foles. Reminded me of Super Bowl, Nick Foles, figuring that out. Those throws that he made in this game were on the money. In fact, as I'm just reading this now, as we are going through this show, Matt Nagy, surprise, surprise, says Nick Foles will be the team's starting quarterback this week against Indy and beyond, because, we've seen the really good Nick Foles. We've also seen, Jacksonville Nick Foles, and it wasn't quite as good, right? So I felt like this quarterback competition had the ability to be one that kind of went back and forth a little bit as, the hot hand shows up and then also dissipates. But Nagy saying today that Foles will be the starting quarterback this week and beyond. He is the team's starting quarterback. So, now let's run with Nick Foles. He knows Nick and Matt know each other well. And Nick mentioned after the game, called some really good plays for him. They've got the rhythm working. So let's see how it goes for the undefeated, by the way, 3-0 Chicago Bears.
Yep, Chicago Bears 3-0. Did not see that coming.
Nah, me either.
All right, it is time for the Player Spotlight presented by Zaxby's as we look at the biggest matchup on the NFL calendar. It comes in Week 3, Monday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, the two most exciting teams in the league and the two most exciting players at the quarterback position, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go ahead and say the player in the spotlight for me is Lamar Jackson in this game. Got to find a way to get past this Kansas City Chiefs team if they want to ultimately go on and win a championship. It's going to be a duel. It's going to be a shootout. These games always end up with the Chiefs in a high-scoring affair. We saw it with the Rams in that big matchup. We've seen it previously in their games with the Ravens. So Lamar Jackson using those tight ends, being efficient, but then when you get those opportunities down the field, which he's done so well this year, being able to hit Hollywood Brown over the top with accuracy. You're going to need some home runs in this game if you're the Baltimore Ravens to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. That was your Player Spotlight presented by Zaxby's. Again, I cannot wait for this game. Which pass rush is going to be able to get cranked up? I think that'll be a big part of it as well. It's going to be a phenomenal Monday Night Football matchup. I do want to encourage you guys to check out all of our other Move the Sticks content. If you're interested in the podcast, we love it. We think it's pretty darn good. You can find it Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to check out all of our video content, NFL.com/MTS video. You can also check out the NFL Podcast YouTube channel, as well as I have my Move the Sticks YouTube channel where I put some content up there, including the top 8 rookies each and every week, so you can follow it there as well. But that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time right here on Move the Sticks, presented by Zaxby's.